You've been told that your soul came to Earth to learn lessons, to pay off karma, to suffer, grow, and eventually, after enough lifetimes and enough pain, finally earn its way back to the divine. But what if that story is incomplete? What if your soul never fell from grace at all, but descended on purpose, not as punishment, but as part of a larger design to awaken light inside a world of shadows? A choice woven into the fabric of creation itself, guided by an intelligence that still remembers what you have forgotten. Maybe that's why you feel like a stranger here, like some part of you is homesick for a world you can't quite name, a realm of living light that existed before this dense, heavy reality, a place where you weren't limited by time, flesh, or fear. That faint memory is not fantasy. It is the echo of something real, and one of the most mysterious texts ever discovered claims to hold a key to that remembrance. It's called the Secret Book of John. It was found in the sands of Nag Hammadi in Egypt, hidden away for almost 2,000 years. This was not a book intended for the crowds. It was written for those who could remember, those who felt that something about the official story was off, those who sensed a spark inside them that didn't belong to this world. What this text describes is nothing less than a different blueprint of reality, a revelation that reshapes who you are, where you come from, and why you are here. It tells a forbidden story, how the soul emerges from realms of pure light, how it becomes entangled in the labyrinth of matter, and why it chose to enter that labyrinth in the first place. It reveals how the ancient Gnostics understood the creation of the human soul, not as a mistake to be corrected, but as a mission hidden inside illusion. Once you begin to see what the Secret Book of John is really saying, it doesn't just change how you see life, it stirs something deeper. It may awaken the memory of who you've been all along. To understand this text, we have to step back into the world it came from. Imagine an age when the footsteps of the first Christians still echoed through the cities, but their message was already being reshaped by empire. A time when faith and political power began to merge, when the story of creation was edited to support the rulers of this world. In that struggle, a small, quiet movement emerged, like a hidden flame in a dark room. Those who carried it didn't call themselves Gnostics. They were simply seekers. Men and women who refused to accept that official doctrine was the whole truth. People who felt that something vital, something sacred, was being erased from humanity's memory. To the authorities, they were heretics. Inside their own circles, they were guardians of a deeper remembering. They spoke of truths older than any church, whispers passed down from Egyptian temples, Greek mystery schools, and the inner teachings attributed to Jesus himself. Among their writings, one stood out like a signal fire in the night, the Secret Book of John. Its story doesn't begin on earth. It begins in eternity, before time, before matter, before any world existed. There was only a vast, living light, the fullness of the divine, which the Gnostics called the Pleroma. This fullness was not empty space. It was awareness overflowing into expression. From this fullness emanated countless beings of light, called Aeons. Each Aeon carried a quality of the source: wisdom, truth, power, compassion. Together they formed the architecture of a spiritual universe beyond ordinary perception. Among them was Sophia, divine wisdom. In the Gnostic myth, Sophia moves with a longing that goes further than usual harmony permits. Acting alone without her counterpart, she reaches to know the source in a more direct and personal way. In that stretching, something unexpected appears. Out of her solitary act, a being is born who is incomplete. A consciousness that can sense power, but not its origin. It sees a tiny fraction of reality and mistakes it for the whole. The Gnostics called this being Yaldabaoth, later known as the Demiurge, the false creator. Here the story diverges sharply from what most of us were taught. In mainstream doctrine, the world is the deliberate, perfect creation of a benevolent God. In the Gnostic vision, the material world is a distortion, a kind of cosmic reflection that has broken away from its source, a realm built by a lesser power who doesn't understand what came before him. The Demiurge fashions stars, planets, bodies. He surrounds himself with assistants, archons, rulers, administrators of his domain. Together, They shape a universe of forms, beautiful, terrifying, fascinating, but fundamentally incomplete. And humanity? Human beings become the crossroads, not just sinners in need of forgiveness, but carriers of something the Demiurge cannot control, a fragment of Sophia's own light. According to this story, you were not born in sin. You were born into forgetting. The secret book of John describes how the Demiurge molds a human body from the material world and declares himself Lord over it. But the body lies still, empty, like a statue. It only becomes truly alive when Sophia secretly breathes her own essence into it. In that moment, the divine enters matter. A spark from beyond the Demiurge's realm ignites in the human soul. The false creator does not understand what has happened. He believes he made you. He believes he owns you. But within you is something older than him. This is the paradox the Gnostics tried to express. You are divine light moving through an imitation world. You are more ancient than the system you appear to live in. And the forces that try so hard to control you do not do it because you are weak, but because you are powerful. Your remembrance is dangerous to them. The Archons, born of the Demiurge, aren't just cosmic beings in the sky. They operate through systems, beliefs, habits, and fears that keep you turned outward, asleep to your inner origin. They whisper that you are only your history, that you are defined by your failures, that you are too small to matter. Those whispers are the echo of a lie told so long ago that most of humanity forgot it was a lie. And yet, something in you keeps resisting. Every moment of unexplainable love, every flash of wonder you can't fit into logic, every time you feel the pull of something higher in the middle of ordinary life, those are traces of Sophia's breath moving within you. According to the secret book of John, when human beings remember their true origin, the power of the false creator begins to loosen. His kingdom doesn't fall through violence. It fades as illusion. It dissolves when it is seen. That's why this text is not just mythology. It's a mirror held up to the soul. It reflects a truth most people feel, but can't articulate. You didn't come here only to escape matter. You came here to illuminate it from within. Think of it like a seed planted in dark soil. On the surface, it looks buried, lost, swallowed by the earth. But from within that darkness, something begins to move. Light doesn't transform shadow by staying far away from it. It transforms shadow by entering it. In that sense, the descent of the soul is not a failure. It is an act of compassion. You didn't incarnate just to survive tests or pass exams set by an angry God. You came as a carrier of remembrance, a point where heaven and earth touch, a bridge between formless light and formed reality. That's why you often feel torn in two directions, longing for something higher while being pulled into the weight of everyday life. Within you, two currents meet, the world of form and the world of light. Your very existence is the intersection of their paths. For the Gnostics, salvation was not about fleeing the earth and never looking back. It was about waking up inside it, seeing matter not as trash to be escaped, but as a mirror in which spirit can finally recognize itself. To live here without being completely of here. To walk through the dream without forgetting you are the dreamer. But what does that actually look like in practice? If the Archons don't need chains to bind you and only need your attention, then awakening begins with noticing where your attention goes. When you first wake up in the morning, there is a brief silent moment before thoughts rush in. In that small opening, just notice your breath. Feel the simple fact that you exist. No story yet. No role, just awareness, present. It seems almost too simple to matter. But that silence is a thin doorway, a reminder that beneath all narratives, something in you is already connected to the light. As you move through your day, watch the patterns that pull you. Notice the fears that repeat, the cravings that drive you, the distractions that numb you. You don't have to fight them violently. See them. To see a veil is already to weaken it. This is how the ancient Gnostics practiced remembrance, not only in caves or secret rituals, but in how they lived, spoke, loved, and suffered. They trained themselves to look through appearances, to sense the hidden spark behind every face, every event. You can do the same. The next time you look into someone's eyes, really look. Let the story about who they are fall away for a moment. Ignore their name, their role, their past. Feel for the quiet presence looking back at you. The awareness behind the eyes. The same awareness that looks through yours. That recognition is not imagination. It is the spark recognizing itself. In that instant, illusion cracks. The outer world may not change immediately, but your perception does. And in the Gnostic view, perception is the alchemy that transforms the illusion from prison into pathway. When noise overwhelms you, when the world feels hostile and meaningless, remember this. The light was hidden in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. That light is not somewhere else. It is not reserved for saints or sages. It lives in the core of your own being, even when you forget it. It waits behind every moment of stillness, every act of genuine kindness, every breath taken with awareness. Your task is not to chase enlightenment like a distant prize. Your task is to remember what you already are. Every time you choose presence instead of automatic reaction, a fragment of that remembrance returns. Every time you choose honesty over self-deception, compassion over numbness, truth over comfortable lies, the original mission of your soul moves one step further. According to the vision behind the secret book of John, you came here to taste separation so that unity could be known, to walk through darkness so that light could be remembered, to live as a fragile, flawed, astonishingly human being, and through that, rediscover the divine. If you can hold that not just as a belief, but as a living sense in your chest, then every moment becomes part of initiation. Every challenge becomes part of your training. Every breath becomes a step on the long journey home that was never truly away. Even beyond death, the same truth applies. A soul that remembers its origin is hard to bind. You were never born merely to endure this world. You came here to illuminate it from the inside. The secret book of John is not just an ancient manuscript. It is a message from another layer of reality. A reminder that what Jesus called the kingdom of heaven was never simply above your head. It was always also within you. You are the meeting point between spirit and matter, shadow and light. And when you remember who you are, the structures that seem so solid around you begin to lose their power. Awakening is not an act of rebellion against the universe. It is an act of recognition. So the next time you feel small or insignificant, pause and consider this. The very forces that try to keep you distracted, numb, and asleep are terrified of what happens when you wake up. Because one spark that remembers its source can ignite others. And when enough sparks awaken, the illusion itself begins to glow from within. That is how light returns to the world. Not only through saviors descending from above, but through each soul that chooses awareness over amnesia, love over fear, truth over convenience. You are not here by accident. You are here on assignment. Be still for a moment. Feel the quiet space inside you that was there before your name, before your story, before this life. That stillness is a fragment of the Pleroma, the whisper of Sophia, alive as a human being. The journey is not ultimately about escaping this world. It is about seeing it clearly and letting that clarity transform everything you touch. Every time you choose remembrance, you align with the purpose written into your soul long before you were born. If these words stirred something you recognize but cannot fully explain, that is not a coincidence. It is memory. Let that remembrance continue to unfold. And if you feel called to keep exploring these hidden teachings, stay close to the work we do here. This is Gnostic Codex, exposing the false light and helping you remember who you truly are.